We're going to discuss Unit 6, Operations with Polynomials and Radicals for your upcoming test. So get your calculators ready, get your paper and pencil out to get ready to begin. So our first question here says to find the perimeter and the area of the following rectangle. Okay, perimeter and area have two different formulas. As you know from the past, the perimeter equals 2 times my length plus 2 times my width. The area formula says I'm going to take the length times my width. Two separate things you're going to do. So taking this rectangle here, there's a few things we know about a rectangle to start. One thing we know is that the opposite sides are congruent. So he is 6x plus 2. He is also 6x plus 2. He is x minus 4, and he is also x minus 4, which isn't really needed for what we're doing currently, but it's a good math. So, with our perimeter first, we want to basically take 2 times our length and 2 times our width. So we're going to call this our length. We're going to call this our width. So to find our perimeter, we take 2 times 6x plus 2 plus 2 times x minus 4. So now, in order to solve this for our perimeter, which will be an expression, we need to then distribute the 2 to both terms on both parentheses. So 2 times 6x is 12x. Remember, you multiply the numbers or coefficients, you keep the variable, plus 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. Now I'm going to combine my like terms. When I combine my like terms, my coefficients or numbers go together, but my variable stays. So here, we combined what looks alike. So 12x plus 2 more x's gives me 14 x's. We keep the x, we don't do anything else with it. I have plus 4 minus 8, which gives me a negative 4. So my perimeter is just 14x minus 4. I can't put anything else together. Now for my area. Area is just length times width. So with that, I'm going to take my length, 6x plus 2, and I'm going to multiply it by my width, x minus 4. To multiply these two together, we do the FOIL method, which says I'm going to take the first two, 6x times x. Now, when I multiply the variables, they do add the exponents together, so it becomes 6x squared. 1 and 1 is 2. The outer, so 6 times negative 4 is negative 24x. 2 times x is just 2x, and 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. And just like above, my like terms, which are typically in the middle when we do FOIL, combine together. So 6x squared minus 22x minus 8 is my final answer for my area. I can't do anything else with them. They can't go together any further. They can't do anything. Okay, now, number 2 says we're going to subtract. Now, when it says the word subtract, I need to be careful because I'm going to subtract, oops, sorry, my pen's not writing yet. Subtract, each piece down here, which means I'm going to have to rewrite what I'm doing. So I have 3x to the third plus 3x squared minus 4x plus 5. I'm going to subtract x to the third. I'm going to subtract a negative, which means I'm going to add a 2x squared. I'm going to subtract an x, and I'm going to subtract a negative, which means I'm going to add a 4. Notice how I kept the variables that were alike together because it makes them easier to add because they are like terms. So now I just need to look here. 3x squared minus x to the third, because remember there's an imaginary 1 there, is 2x to the third. Then I just look at this piece here. I'm not changing anything anymore. I already did it. So it becomes 3x squared plus 2x squared becomes 5x squared. Remember, the x squareds keep. I just add the numbers. Again, I don't change anything else. I already distributed that negative. So I have negative 4 minus 1, because there's a 1 hiding there, negative 5x, and then 5 plus 4 is 9. None of these are like terms, so none of these combined. That becomes my final answer. Now, this time we're just subtracting a bigger one. No big deal. We can handle it. So with this one here, I need to be careful because he's going to distribute to both pieces and he's going to distribute to both pieces. So he's just a long, boring, ugly, tedious thing, but we can handle it. So let's rewrite it so we know what we're looking at. Here, the 5x squared plus 2y plus 3xy does not change. I'm going to do this one horizontally for those who like to work it horizontally. Minus, I need to distribute the 7x squared minus this negative here becomes plus 21xy. Then I'm going to distribute to this x here plus x. Then I got to distribute him to both pieces too. Minus 7xy minus 9. Lots of terms, but that's okay. We're super smart. We can put it together. So I'm just going to start at the beginning. I have here 5x squared minus 7x squared gives me a total of 5 minus 7, negative 2x squared. Then I'm just going to take my second piece. I have 2y. I do not have another y by himself, so plus 2y. Then I'm going to take my third piece. 3xy, 21xy, 7xy. So I have 3 plus 21 is 24. 24 minus 7, I'm just double checking my answer. It's going to be 17. So then I have positive 17xy. Then I'm looking here. My x does not have anybody, and my 9 does not have anybody. Now, on your test, all answers should be in standard form. Standard form means I take alphabetically, x comes first, and then I look at the x, and I will take him in the descending order of his exponents. So here, I have negative 2x squared. Now, here I've got an x and a y. With this right here, I would take either one, but I believe that the x by itself comes first. I'm not 100% sure. You won't have ones like that, but either one is fine. Then I have my plus 2y minus my 9. Final answer. Final answer. Alrighty, now we're going to add all this mess together. Adding is just a glorified combined like terms. So with adding, I just got to find his mate, put them together, and simplify my work. So I have 2x squared, 3x squared, so it's 5x squared. Again, I'll worry about standard form after. I have 6y, and he has nobody. I have 3xy minus 5xy plus 6xy. So 3 minus 5 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 6 is, I'm sorry, not 8, it is 4. Sorry, it is 4. 4xy, because it's negative 2 plus 6, so it's 4. xy. And then I have my plain old x and my plain old 5. So again, highest power of x. I put x by himself. I put x with y. I put 6y, and I put 5. And again, this order here, I'd have to double check if it matters. You won't have anything that complex. I won't take off for it. All right, my next example. I'm going to do my FOIL again. How do I know it's FOIL? There's no operation here, so it has to be multiplication. So now, when I go to multiply, first, my outer, my inner, my last, they'll end up combining, so it's y squared plus 5y minus 24. Nothing else combines. Number 7 is one a few of you got confused on your quiz, although we did several in your notes and several in your homework, but on your quiz, this one kind of confused some people. It is not a monomial. You can't just bring the 2 to both pieces. It is a polynomial, which means I'm going to have to write him twice to square him. And then he has a FOIL problem. So you need to write him twice and then FOIL. 25x squared minus 10x minus 10x plus 4. Middle term goes together. Done. Perfect. Number 8, I want you to work while I'm working as well. It's just another good old FOIL question. Love my FOIL questions. Just another good old FOIL question. Another good old FOIL question. So, FOIL with me. Give me a thumbs up. You got it right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Number 9, is it really any different from number 8? No, it's not. All I'm going to have to do is multiply it 3 times instead of 2. So it's like FOIL with an extra little bonus. It's just FOIL with a bonus. That's all it is. So with that, I just start from the beginning and move through. So I take my first term. He's going to end up being 2y to the third, because remember the exponents add. Take them to the last, plus 3y squared. 3y times 2y is 6y squared, plus 9y, minus 12y, minus 18. Just a little longer version of what we're doing, not hard or complicated. You all are super smart. You know what you're doing. So my first term has no mate. I have my little y squared, so that gives me a total of 9y squared. Remember that the y squareds do not add together. It's just that the coefficients 3 and 6 add together and tell me how many y squareds. I have 9y minus 12y gives me negative 3y, and then my 18 has no one to combine. Bam, 100%. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay, our last polynomial operation is going to be here with my division. You have to remember the division goes to all 3 pieces. So if I were to rewrite this, I'm saying 16x to the 6th is divided by 4x squared minus my 12x to the 4th divided by 4x squared plus 4x to the 4th divided by 4x squared. Each piece gets the division. Each piece gets the bottom number. So now I just divide each monomial like we did last unit. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Remember, I subtract my exponents. 12 divided by 4, negative 12 is negative 3. Subtract my exponents. And here, 1, I don't need to write the 1, and x squared. Oh, this one just happens to be able to combine. Usually it doesn't work. These two happen to be the same term. They will combine because it's a like term. So it's minus 3x squared plus 1x squared. And if I had noticed up here they were the same number, I just didn't pay attention to that. All right, some of you don't like to write it 3 times. You like to do this little bubbly thing, but just be careful you do all 3 terms and you don't lose anything. That's the big deal. So 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4. 5 minus 2 is x to the third. Negative 12 minus 6 is 2. 4 minus 2 is squared. Now, here I have the same number. Same term, 6x squared divided by negative 6x squared is negative 1. You don't put the 1, it is wrong. There are 1, 2, 3 places up here. It's a trinomial. There is 1, 2, 3 places down here. It is a trinomial answer. The 1 is highly, 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 highly important. All right. Let's talk about our radicals, and then we'll go back and do our little chart of our naming. So, when we're putting radicals together, if I was to write this, I'm going to kind of give you the longer explanation, that if this is just a piece, just a thing. It's the same thing as saying 2x plus 3x minus 5x plus 1x. It's the same deal. The x is just a variable. The square root of 6 is just a variable. So I want to know how many square roots of 6 I've got. So to find out how many square roots of 6 I've got, I add the coefficients. So 2 plus 3 is 5, minus 5 is 0, plus 1 is 1, square roots of 6, but you know we don't keep the 1, so we just write them as the square root of 6. Same thing up here, it would just be plain old x. Same idea, they're like terms, they just mush together. But what happens like number 13 when they don't just mush together? Well, then you've got to simplify the radical. So with simplifying the radical here, they're not in lowest form. 24 is not in lowest form. Negative 54 is not in lowest form. So I'm going to have to first put these in their simplest radical form. Now, I do them a little bit different than some of the other teachers. I like to use prime factorization. So I'm going to do it off to the side here. You simplify them how you simplify them. I'm just simplifying them off to the side because we all simplify them differently. He doesn't need to be simplified because 6 doesn't simplify. The square root of 54 does simplify. So simplify him how you simplify him. All right, so now I have my 3 simplified radicals, and I do exactly what I did above. I have 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 minus 3 is 4 square roots of 6. I've got to make sure that my radicals are in simplest radical form, and they have to be the same to go together. If, and this is just an if, I'm going to write it off to the side. If I had a problem that said 3 square roots of 2 plus 2 square roots of 3, they cannot simplify. They cannot go together. It's the same thing as saying 3x plus 2y. Can't go together. They're already in simplest form. Okay, it's only when the radicals match that they can go together. Now, multiplication's a little bit different. Why is multiplication a little bit different? Because multiplication, you're multiplying. Multiplying means you're combining it and mushing it all together to one big number. So, I have square roots here, so I have my 2 and my 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. I take my radicals, and my radicals go together. 6 times 2 is 12. So with that now, I have to put it in simplest radical form. So I need to take my 12 and break it down. So 12 is 2 square roots of 3. The 2 and the 6 go together to multiply, so they become 12 square roots of 3. And however you break down that number, everyone teaches it differently, and that is fine, no big deal. This last problem I didn't mean to make so big, so I'm just gonna take this 12 and make it a 2. I wasn't thinking when I wrote it, so I'm just gonna make this a 2 instead of a 12 because it's an awful big, ugly number. So let's do the cubed root of 72 times the cubed root of 2. Otherwise, we're gonna be simplifying radicals all darn day long. So just like here, we didn't do the cubed root in class. This is kind of our extension for the test. So I still put them all together. So 72 times 2 became 144. I didn't mean to do that to make it oh, it's not a perfect square, never mind. Sorry, it's a cube. So it's the cubed root of 144. So with that, because he's the cubed root, it takes 3 to match to get out of the house. So first I'm going to go ahead and simplify my radical. I'm going to find what makes it up. Now with this, it takes 3 to get out of my house. So 1, 2, 3. Nobody else can get out of my house. So I have what? 9 times 2 is 18. So he simplifies to 2 cubed roots of 18. Just like we did before, process is absolutely no different than we did on our last test. You're still going to multiply the 2. Just now when you simplify him, it's going to take 3 to get out of the house. No big deal, nothing different, nothing crazy. Now we did not do one with variables. We did have one on our homework with variables. So let's do one really quick. Let's add one to this because we're almost done with this video. But let's go ahead and add one because I don't know if there's one with a variable on your test, but I certainly don't want any surprises for your test, and it was certainly in your homework. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about, and I'll make it kind of easy. I'm just going to make a little 16. Let's flip it over to the back real quick here. So on number 16, we're going to make a number 16 really quick. Let's just make it up. You know, I'm not good at making things up off the top of my head, so I'm not going to do anything crazy. So the square root of 2x squared y times the square root of 2x to the third y. Nothing crazy. Now, I can't remember if we multiplied with these or added with these. So we'll do one of each. And I apologize because I cannot remember, and I'm trying to make up the review for the quiz. So with this, nothing can kind of break up, but you know they all go together. So it's 4. Remember, I add my exponents when I'm multiplying, and they're all strung out. So now, doesn't change how I get out of my house. I have 4. 4 is just 2 times 2, so the 2 comes out of the house. When I have the exponents here, 4 of those 5 will come out of the house because they're even. Divided by 2 is 2, but one guy's got to stay in the house. 2 of these here make 1 on the outside. Bam, I'm done. Bam, I'm done. All right, now I've got a quick little chart just to remember our names and what we're doing. It's a quick little chart. You can copy it down or you can kind of just write it out as we go. So with it, I want to talk about first the degree. The degree says I take each polynomial and I look at each monomial and it's the highest degree. So he's got a 4, he's got a 3, he's got a 0. So my degree is 4, but my name is just 4th degree. Nothing fancy with 4. Remember, you're only fancy with 1, 2, and 3. 1 is linear, 2 is quadratic, and 3 is cubic. So let's look at this. He's got 0, he's got 1, so he's got 1 degree, and he is linear. He has 1, he has 2, so it's a 2nd degree, which is quadratic. Okay, number of terms. We have 1, 2, 3 terms, which we call a trinomial. two terms which we call a binomial and two terms which we call a binomial. And one term we call a what? Excellent, a monomial. And four terms is just a four-term poly. Constant is just the number. -1, 13. This one does not have one. That's just a review from Math 7 or pre-algebra. Leading coefficient we didn't talk about, won't be on your test, but very, very simple, so I'll just throw it in there really quick right now. Highest degree, it's the number in front. Highest degree, number in front. Highest degree, the coefficient in front. Not on the test, just some good information. All right, guys, I thank you for spending some time with me. I appreciate it, and y'all have an awesome day.